So GM invited us out to the Milford Proving Ground to check out the 2014 Cadillac CTS V-Sport, which is an all-new CTS. It's built on the ATS platform. Now that the ATS exists, they can make the CTS bigger. So this car is 4 inches longer than the current CTS, but it weighs about 250 pounds less. It generates 420 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque in its twin-turbo V6. It splits the difference between the base CTS, which is available with a 2-liter turbo or a naturally aspirated 3.6-liter V6. And then on the other end, there's the V, which traditionally has been a supercharged V8. The V-Sport is sort of the difference, splits the difference between the two. Cadillac says 0 to 60 in about 4.4 seconds. We're going to verify that claim. But the car's got a lot of power and it's pretty light, so we expect it'll do pretty well. Chris Walton's getting ready to do some testing, and we're going to see what this thing can do.
After I set up the last set of timers, I'm going to go run and do the slalom test, and ATS did real well in the slalom test, so CTS V-Sport should do even better. We'll see.
Chris is chipping away at it. He's down to about 602, which is about 68 miles per hour in the slalom.
It has a really sophisticated stability system. It does a really good job of tucking the nose in when it wants to go straight, and then it goes away quickly without a big fuss, and it returns the control to the driver. It's really quite good.
Chris is out there doing skid pad right now. Seeing how much grip it has.
Next up, braking and acceleration.
"60 to 0 stopping distances of about 103, 104 feet, which is really solid. So far, we're not able to quite match Cadillac's 0 to 60 time. They're saying it can do 0 to 60 in 4.4. So far, we haven't seen anything better than a 5.1 or 5.2. So we're still going to play with the launch and see if we can get the numbers down a little bit more.
There's just no way I can get a 4.4. I mean, it's not even like the launch is as good as I can imagine. Gear shifts are in the fastest mode.
Okay, we definitely have data. We've got a handful of braking runs and a whole slew of acceleruns. Now we're going to run back to the shack and crunch some data and see what we get. All right, well, we just finished instrumented testing the CTS V-Sport, and there were some surprises, both good and bad. We were a little disappointed with the acceleration, especially given the quoted number that Cadillac gave us. We're about a half a second off of that. And also the mile an hour, the trap speed may have been a little lower than we had hoped. But the other big surprise was the braking and the handling. We had 103 feet from 60, which is just like a sports car.
Yeah, it's serious.
Serious. And 0.95 G on the skid pad, again, like a sports car. And just a whisker away from 70 miles an hour in the slalom.
They've targeted the CTS V-Sport against the BMW 550i in terms of price and engine performance and that sort of stuff. This car, the CTS V-Sport, has 420 horsepower. The 550i, even though it's a twin-turbo V8, has 400 horsepower.
Sure.
The BMW also weighs about 400 pounds more, and yet the BMW, in our testing back home, trapped 2 miles per hour faster than this car. So we're not really sure what's going on here.
Well, the powertrain is fantastic and pulls like crazy. I'm just a little curious why we didn't quite hit their number. Well, now that we have all the pieces and parts of a full performance, we've got acceleration and braking and cornering and handling, you know, it would be really interesting to see what it would be like to put it all together and take it on a lap of this Let's Ring. You know?
And that's what we're going to do next.
All right.
Let's see how we do.
All right, Jay, so we had a couple of laps around this all-new track to us. What do you think so far?
Well, definitely the car's like we expected from the testing. Very capable handler. It's really stable. It's really flat in the corners, especially when you've got it set up in the track mode, where it tailors the transmission calibration and the MR dampers and the power delivery to be sharper and more alert, and also the diff as well. It's coming into play. And also giving you enough leash so that you can exploit it without being crazy. Really capable car. Not balls out in the way you'd expect a CTS V to be.
Right, and that's kind of what I was going to say, was I could use a little more power. I know this has got 420 horsepower, and it's a lighter car than it was before, but there were a couple times I wanted to rotate the car on throttle a little bit, and it just didn't quite have the sauce. And I guess that is where the real CTS V will take over from here.
Which will definitely have sauce. I mean, this thing is really quite fast and really capable. But there's definitely room for another one. So I think in terms of splitting the difference between the base CTS and a CTS V, the V-Sport does it.
Sure. I had a blast on this track. It was my first time around it. How about you?
Yeah, track's awesome, car's good, and we'll be able to see these cars in dealerships in October of this year or so.
October. For more information, go to Edmunds.com.